It's one thing to finish a video game and unlock something to freshen up your next playthrough, but after a certain point, extra hard difficulties, more powerful weapons, and different costumes become a little stale. I mean, sure, these things are cool, but what if we made them really weird? Many games with strong tones can get the biggest of laughs by cracking their own armour with a few hidden secrets that remind players to smile every now and then. Sure, this game might seem like all violence and warfare, but it is just a video game after all. Whether it's iconic stars breaking character or events that truly come out of nowhere, this list is made up of video game secrets that truly surprised us. I'm Cy for WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 video game secrets you didn't see coming. Number 10. The Vampire, Red Dead Redemption 2. The beauty of the open world game is giving developers the reins to go absolutely ham with filling it with whatever their minds desire. The best of gaming's biggest worlds are very rarely empty, and the secrets that can be found along the way is what makes them worth talking about with others. Both the first and second Red Dead Redemption games have plenty of optional encounters and Easter eggs to find, of course, that run the full gambit in style and tone. The original game even started to include a few supernatural things, whisperings and murmurs, theories that one NPC is even a ghost, and the unexplainable strange man. However, Red Dead Redemption 2 really went full tilt in this direction in ways that players weren't expecting. The most talked about of these upon release was the Vampire of Saint Denis. Around the location are strange writings that the player can jot down in their diary. When all 5 pieces are collected, they will form a pentagram that points to a particular alleyway of the city. There, they will find a Nosferatu-like character. If the player chooses to engage and aren't quick enough, the vampire is one of the few enemies that can kill the protagonist in one hit. And worse, if you haven't got your save data prepared, they'll disappear after that one encounter, never to be seen again. Number 9. World 1-1, Dying Light. Despite being an open-world action-adventure game about the undead and the end of civilization, the Dying Light series has a pretty good sense of humour, and always has done. Even before getting onto the subject of secrets and Easter eggs, Dying Light has a whole roster of ridiculous gag weapons that are designed to put smiles on a player's face. Developers Techland wear their hearts on their sleeves when it comes to paying homage to the various films and video games that have inspired them over the years. In the first Dying Light alone, there are dozens of references to movies like Silence of the Lambs and Star Wars, and games such as Zelda and Left 4 Dead snuck into the environment and the script. Still, there's nothing else quite like the building in Old Town that has a green pipe tucked inside of its chimney. Inspecting it will take the player back to surely a childhood classic of many a Techland dev, with a recreation of Super Mario Bros. World 1-1. The secret room recreates the entire stage from a first-person perspective, complete with blocks, a flagpole, and zombie Goombas. Whilst the game is littered with name drops and dialogue gags, remaking the entire first stage from an NES game in Dying Light's perspective is truly out of the ordinary. Number 8. GUYBRUSH THREEPKILLER, Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. With George Lucas founding the studio back in 1982, it's no surprise that the LucasArts name is so heavily affiliated with the film director's Star Wars franchise. But LucasArts are more than just an outlet for spin-off media of the far, far away galaxy. The Monkey Island series has had its ups and downs over the years, with large lengths of times where the IP has gone dormant. After Escape from Monkey Island in 2000, Guybrush Threepwood and friends went dark for nearly a decade. Suddenly, however, there was a renewed interest in the brand with a couple of re-releases and a brand new game. How does this relate to Star Wars? In 2010, LucasArts released The Force Unleashed 2, which continues the story of Darth Vader's training of his apprentice, Starkiller. It's not that Star Wars games hadn't let you play as the Sith before, but Force Unleashed 2 was considered a fairly dark tale when it was released. Players discovered they could bring the mood back up though by indiscriminately destroying a few slot machines to unlock the Guybrush Threepkiller costume. Considering the rest of the base game's outfits are all variations on traditional Star Wars looks and garbs, this novelty Guybrush skin is certainly unexpected in more ways than one. Seeing adventure gaming's favourite pirate wielding lightsabers and force powers remains a strange sight indeed. Number 7. Gone, Tekken 3. While Smash Bros. And Soul Calibur set the trend, in the modern era, guest fighters have become an expected part of the fighting game genre. For example, Mortal Kombat 11 became Smash Bros. For your dad when it included the likes of Rambo, Robocop, and the Terminator straight out of the 1980s all in one game. Some might think it ridiculous, but everyone was at least talking about it, so it's not surprising that we've seen more and more of this kind of thing happen over time. The Tekken series has dabbled more with the concept in recent years by adding Final Fantasy XV's Noctis and The Walking Dead's Negan. However, their first guest fighter was actually tucked away as a wildly confusing secret way back in 1997's Tekken 3. After unlocking the Tekken Ball side game, players could then add to their character roster the prehistoric star of the Japanese manga Gon. Perhaps this little guy meant more to Eastern players than those in the West, although some of the manga had been localised by 1994, but Gon's inclusion was something of a surprise either way, as licensed fighters had not yet become the norm. More than this though, the pint-sized dinosaur is not just a novelty. His super fast speed and much smaller hitbox actually give him a great advantage in battle. Number 6. Bonus costumes. God of War 2005. Whilst unlockable costumes are an expected part of the God of War series by this point, if you can cast your mind back to 2005, nobody really knew what to expect out of this new Sony IP. Early marketing for God of War really focused on the brooding story of vengeance and brutal hack-and-slash gameplay. The game's early trailers were perhaps more cinematic than gaming had been until that point. That's not to say that the title was humourless or unaware of how over-the-top it had the potential to be, but it certainly was taking itself seriously as a new powerhouse of a franchise. So awaiting players at the end of Kratos' journey through the campaign and the Challenge of the Gods mode were a selection of decidedly weird optional outfits. Want to take that giant hulking mass of muscles and rage and put him in a cook's hat? Now you can with Chef of War, not to mention Kratos wielding briefcases in a spiffy suit or swimming shorts. Perhaps the strangest of all is, for whatever reason, our ash-covered anti-hero taking his beef with the Greek gods to the next level by dressing as a cow. Seeing a character so defined by serious emotions and traits suddenly wearing these ridiculous outfits was definitely a surprise best left for the end of the game. Number 5. The Rebecca photo, Resident Evil 2. Whilst it takes place around the fictional Raccoon City in the aftermath of the first game's events, Resident Evil 2 was clever in starring a totally new cast of characters both heroic and demented. By not leaning heavily into Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine from the off, Resi 2 grew the world of its corporate terror and introduced us to a host of new characters that would go on to be just as important as the first game's heroes. Without RE2, we'd never have Leon, Claire, Ada, or even Sherry Birkin, who goes on to be at least one of the better bits of the absolute fustercluck that is Resident Evil 6. The player inhabits the world of Chris and Jill by moving through the now dilapidated state of the Raccoon City Police Department, but our heroes are nowhere to be seen and as such don't overshadow our now beloved newcomers. However, there is one character from the original Resident Evil who makes an appearance when you check the unattended desk of STARS Captain Albert Wesker a total of 50 times. Suddenly, Leon or Claire will see something they missed the previous 49 times, a photo of STARS rookie Rebecca posing in her basketball outfit. Do the previous game's protagonists make a return? Nope, but the rookie does, in a rather concerningly lecherous way. Shame on you, Wesker. Number 4. Hand Cannon, Dead Space 2. From the 1970s onwards, the term hand cannon became a colloquialism for an oversized pistol or revolver. Famously spoken in 1994's Pulp Fiction by John Travolta, the term has appeared throughout many video games over the years, such as BioShock and Destiny. 2011 survival horror title Dead Space 2 took the term in a much more literal direction. After surviving the onslaught of necromorph scum and besting the campaign on hardcore mode, Isaac Clarke gains access to a foam hand with a secret. With no understood cap on range or power and infinite ammo, the hand cannon rips enemies apart like paper. It should be pretty obvious why nobody saw this one coming. Not only was Dead Space as a series a very dark and oppressive horror franchise, the first game hadn't contained any unexpected unlockables, so the sequel suddenly taking this incredibly hard left turn into ridiculousness really caught fans off guard. The hand cannon turns the game into a much more relaxed and not to mention comedic affair, especially considering that the usual stoic Isaac seems to be having a good time as he chants pew pew and bang bang along with each shot. It's certainly one way to cool down after everything the game has thrown at you. Number 3. Super Luigi Galaxy, Super Mario Galaxy. Whilst the divide in style between the 2D and 3D Sonic games is very clear, many gamers don't consider that the Blue Blur's once rival has gone down a similar path in the last 25 years. 2D Mario lives on as we know it, hardly innovating but at least providing quality experiences, whereas 3D Mario games are their own beast entirely. Since Super Mario 64, these titles tend to be a solo experience, from both the perspective of the player and the protagonist. Rumours would persist about being able to unlock the plumber's lanky lily-livered brother Luigi in Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine, but this was not the case. Mario was the one true player character, which is what made the reward for completing Super Mario Galaxy such a surprise and such a joy all at once. Whilst Luigi starts as a supporting character in the game, offering up power stars as Mario makes progress, players in 2007 were flabbergasted when they were greeted with the message, "You can now play as Luigi," after grabbing every star and beating Bowser. This secret second playthrough is all the better because Luigi is more than just a palette swap. As an ode to Super Mario Bros. 2, Luigi has his own trademark superior jumping skills and clumsy control style, meaning that another run through of the game is sure to feel different, as well as long overdue. Number 2. Cooking with Scorpion, Mortal Kombat. Deadly Alliance is known among many as the game that really sets the Mortal Kombat series back on the right track as the franchise transitioned away from the arcade and primarily became a home console series. Whilst it might have been lacking in the level of content that later installments would supply, at the very least it had a whole bunch of unlockables. Conquest mode features a total of 676 coffins that the player could spend in-game currency to open in whatever order they wished. Running from key gameplay components like new characters to outfits and concept art, it also tucked away some pretty weird stuff too. The strangest and most amusing of these is a 20-second skit that frankly stands out amidst the bloodbath that Mortal Kombat is usually known for. Cooking with Scorpion enthusiastically lets us know that everyone's favourite dead behind the eyes ninja is here to teach us about chopping, tenderizing, and of course, cake decorating. Whilst Mortal Kombat has always had its tongue firmly in cheek, this is next level stuff in terms of its cast-breaking character for a gag. Best of all, since the coffins in the game don't spoil the contents ahead of time, folks without a guide would have cracked this open and had no idea the gift they were about to receive. Number 1. The dog ending, Silent Hill 2. With the talk that Silent Hill 2 had multiple endings, it necessitated that players play it over and over to see them all. Many games of the modern era that go this route usually make it a very signposted affair, asking the player to make key storyline decisions that often spell out the possibility of different endings. James Sunderland's Dark Adventure is a lot more subtle in the way that it chooses which finale plays out, triggering one depending on how the player has treated other characters and themselves. It's all very obtuse stuff. With either all 3 normal endings, or at least seeing the hidden rebirth ending once, starting the game again causes a key to spawn in a doghouse west of Jack's Inn. The key opens a door at the game's final hotel location, which reveals that the entire story is the machinations of a Shiba Inu. Of course, the hysterical dog ending is the stuff of gaming legend now, but at the time it was so out of nowhere that it caused players' brains to melt. This very serious, incredibly dark horror game that explored the human psyche of guilt, trauma, and so on, has an optional ending with a Shiba Inu literally pulling the levers. It truly was the definition of "this is so stupid I have to see it for myself," and gamers wouldn't have it any other way. And that's the list. Let us know what you thought of this video down in the comments below, and whilst you're there, let us know of any other video game secrets that you can think of that really surprised you when you saw them for the first time. The kind of stuff that you totally didn't see coming. Make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I've been Cy for WhatCulture, and have a good week.